Hey guys, it's Nemo and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a World of Warships video featuring Lord Typhoon, the Lord of the Wax, or the Chief Waxing Specialist, whatever you want to know him as. Or today we'll just simply know him as Typhoon in everybody's favourite European destroyer, the Holland. Now, this video you may have already seen. It was up on WoW's replays. He sent it to me via my Discord, and I thought, you know what, everyone's playing or everyone's grinding up this line at the moment. It's the new ship out. Let's have a look and see how it goes. Now, this video is perfect example, or this gameplay is perfect example of 1, patience, and 2, how to use your team to your own advantage. Now I will I'll put a link in the description, down below, of Typhoon's stream. If you can catch him at Lord Typhoon AU on Twitch, and you'll be able to see everything that he does over there. You know, it's either fun or there's some tutorials that he runs as well, so tune in there and learn some more stuff from someone else. You know, these little guys who do these little Twitches, little YouTubes, you know, they may not be big like the Flamus, Flambasses, and the Mighty Jingles and things like that, but these guys still know what they're doing, so tune in and have a look. Anyway, Holland. She has 2 turrets with 4 guns. They're 120 millimeters. Now that's good, because 120 millimeters means that you can penetrate 20 millimeters of armor. So you don't need to run IFHE on this, because the nearest threshold is 19 millimeters, and most high tier destroyers and most battleships superstructure is all about 19 millimeters of armor. The torpedoes, you have 2 tubes of 5 that fire at 86 knots. These are extremely fast. They're 15 kilometers. They reload quite quickly as well, and you can actually get them. The Holland, when I was testing the Holland, I haven't actually got it on the live server yet, but when I was doing the testing for it, I was running the torpedo reload captain skill and getting my torpedoes, not torpedo reload, sorry, the torpedo acceleration captain skill, and you can get these to go 91 knots at 12 kilometers, which is phenomenal, but you don't really need them that fast, and the extra, you know, 3 kilometers is quite good. The AA is phenomenal. You know, if it's had a smoke screen, this would be even better again with its AA, because the aircraft carriers would just be flying over the top of it and getting absolutely wrecked. I mean, they already do, but you wouldn't have to worry about getting shot at by enemy ships. Now the Changmu here has overextended incredibly. He's playing radar Changmu. That's quite brave in an extremely heavy aircraft meta. And we've got 3 destroyers up here, so we've got a free cap down the bottom, which means that the entire enemy team is coming this way, so we don't need to push in to the cap while there's 2 other guys in there trying to get it. That's just a great way to go and get yourself killed. So Holland's biggest strength is torpedoes. These European destroyers are torpedo boats. If people try to play them as gunboats, it does work, but their forte is definitely in torpedoes. And as you can see here, Typhoon is telling the team, you know, don't worry about C, let's abandon C, let's go and get the B cap. We've got a free cap at A. We don't need to stay here. It's only going to cost us our lives. One of the biggest things you need to know as a destroyer captain is when to commit. So Changmu, he's overcommitted. He lost a lot of health, and then he's just been absolutely targeted by the enemy. So he was always going to be a casualty. Now we're just waiting, because our, you know, I say it all the time, your role as a destroyer is to cap contest, spot, and cap. Okay, you get the points. The rest of the team is already running off. As you can see, the guys in the south are pushing into the B cap, so we're going to have the B cap very soon. So we can hang around and make sure that we can do some damage. You don't want to overcommit while you're hanging around. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to get killed. But if you can see here that we're just, like, Typhoon is just spotting here. He's torping into the smoke screen. It's likely that Groz smoke, so he's out of there, we know that. But other people always like to use smoke screens. So if you can throw torpedoes in there and do as much damage as you can, then that's the benefit of your team. Now he could rush off here, and he could go and get the B cap, and he could leave his battleships up here with no one. But this is the thing about how I was saying at the start, where it's a good example of how to use your teammates. You don't need to go on cap when your team is getting a free cap at B. That means you're just wasting yourself, your torpedoes, your spotting ability. You know, you have a 6 kilometer surface detection, so you can get relatively close to enemy ships. Know what the enemy is. The Lefan there has a 6.4, I believe, is the lowest that she gets to. The Grozovoy gets to 6. So you can use your detection to be able to outspot others, and you win combats for your team by keeping enemies spotted. So because we've got these 15 kilometer torpedoes that reload very quickly. Now their alpha isn't very heavy, but people don't like seeing torpedoes come out. It's like people don't like getting shot at. A lot of times people will turn right away from torpedoes and they'll open themselves up to a broadside. You know, so for example, the Georgia and the Musashi down below Typhoon here in that F9 square, someone might turn away from his torpedoes, but as they do that, they open themselves up to a broadside volley from the battleships. This is another thing you've got to be careful of. See, he's got the located there, which means someone's got radio location, or RPF I still call it, which is the old name for it, the radio positioning finder. So whoever has that knows he's hanging around here, so you just got to be careful that torpedoes are coming towards you when you are located as a destroyer. A lot of times I wouldn't recommend sitting broadside, but at the moment he's so far out of that combat zone, as you can see where all the enemy ships are, they're all clumped up. Now they're spotted because we've got, you know, the aircraft comes over top. So we see 3 destroyers about to throw themselves into a cap to get the cap. Now Typhoon knows he's got to get that C cap back eventually, because that's just points for the enemy team. But these guys here, oh, there we go. Every single one of their destroyers is now about to throw themselves into a contested cap. That is just asking to be killed. 1 ship, yeah. 2 ships maybe, but not all 3, because now you've got all 4. Sorry, because you've got 4 ships there not spotting. There's a radar cruiser in there, or there's 2 radar cruisers. There's a Des Moines there, and then there's the Cleveland as well, and they're all sitting in a smoke screen there, and they've got to be under radar because they're in the smoke but they're spotted. So sometimes you've just got to watch what your team is doing and react and play around what they are doing. So for example, 4 destroyers in there, you don't need to. A Lefan charging in there like that is death. You know, you'd put your stealthy destroyer as a cap destroyer instead of a ship that is so fast it can get out on the flanks and harass other cruisers, battleships, destroyers, whatever. The Ostergotland could have reversed in. I would have probably reversed in closer to an island so I could get out. When you go into a cap, always make sure you have an exit strategy, because if you don't have an exit strategy, you're going to die and you're going to let yourself and your team down. So we know that the Albemarle is pretty close. His last known position is on the map there at D9. He could push in behind us any time, so we just need to move out of the way. We don't have to go too far, and as you can see, Typhoon doesn't really go too far. He plays around these 4 squares here, F, E, 8 and 9, quite a bit, because he doesn't need to go rushing in. As you can see, there's an Åland about to go back in and keep the cap contested. We have a Musashi down there, a Georgia, there's a Kitakazi in Edinburgh. So there's a lot of ships hanging around that cap that are able to stop that from being capped. Yes, we're losing points now off that cap, but it's 1 cap each, and that point's not ticking for anybody. So you don't really have to worry about rushing in there to try and get the kills, because if you're watching your minimap properly and you're watching the battle, you will see that you definitely don't need to be there. Those 4 destroyers that rushed in definitely need to be there. They just lost 2, so they've lost half. If you take the aircraft carrier out, they've lost half their spotting already. I mean, I don't even know what the enemy aircraft carrier is doing at the moment. I haven't seen him for a while. He may have gone south. But there he is. He's in the middle. Okay. It's about, every ship is about patience, and that's why when I do cruisers, I do battleships, I do a lot of kiting. You put yourself in a kiting position because then you can play a patient game. If you put yourself in a nose-in position, you don't have the options in a nose-in position. You get stuck in position, especially with a heavy HE meta, anti-aircraft meta, sorry. So high explosive spam and aircraft carriers are just going to make it absolutely hell for anybody who wants to play bowing. That's why, like, things, ships like Georgia, which is extremely fast, and Venezia, which is extremely maneuverable and things, really enjoy that kiting open water game style, because you can move around and hit ships at will. So the problem with this type of patient gameplay, which is the gameplay that I would recommend, because patience, it'll win you more games than it won't. The team here has 2 caps. We don't need to rush in, we don't need to do anything silly, we just need to hold that B cap. Now what you can do is, the Kitakazi there behind the island, he hasn't got any cross shots on him at the moment. He could probably hold that. Bit of smoke, hopefully no radar comes in. The aircraft carrier could put fighter cover over him, and you'd be able to hold that. Your Åland can get out and do what Åland's supposed to do, which is throw torpedoes everywhere, because these European destroyers are torpedo boats. And you could be using the torpedoes to turn enemy ships around into broadsides. There's so much more that Åland, for example, could be doing. He's done his job, he's contested the cap, now the cap is safe at the present time. We also have an Edinburgh down there who, even without radar, can still be quite effective, while the Kidder is in there as well. So I totally understand wanting to hold and keep the cap, but we've got to look at the situation as it is. Yes, they're sitting up the front there, so the only thing I can think of is that blob of ships at D6, D7, the Åland is trying to torpedo, but his position in the middle there where that island is, he's not going to get any torpedoes on that at all. So the George is running away, he gets finished off. It's and now we're contested again. So the Grozavoy is back in there, or as you can see, the Albemarle's coming in behind him, but we still shouldn't be losing ships as much. The only thing I can think of there with the Edinburgh is that he stayed too long without a smoke screen. If you're going to run smoke screens, you need to run them smart. You don't want to run them too close to caps. You want to run them around your mid-range of your guns so that you're able to disengage safely when your smoke runs out. So here's these great and fast torpedoes. Now, as I said, they don't do much alpha, although there's a good kill there. And we get our Confederate. The Confederate's always great. There's nothing better than getting heroic medals when you're playing the game. And now is the time to be able to go back in behind the enemy because they're pushing so hard into B and take this C cap. And our patient play here, or Typhoon's patient play, has been rewarded with a kill and 14 torpedo hits, 126,000 damage so far, but 91,000 spotting damage. So he's still doing his job, even though he's been out here and just throwing torpedoes at everybody. Now, this concerted push by the enemy has absolutely wrecked our team. When you're defending a cap, you don't want to sort of blob in the cap. You want to be in more of a position where you've got your spotter, crossfire. So, you know, people say to me sometimes, well, it's really hard to do that. Well, not really. I mean, it's about team awareness. You don't need to have a division to have team awareness. For example, you know, we've been hanging around these 4 squares for most of the match, while the rest of the team was doing what they were doing. You know, you had 3 or 4 destroyers at one stage in that middle cap. So why do we need to throw another ship in there? So it's about looking at what your team is doing and identifying how they are playing. So we're going behind them now. This would make a lot of teams panic from this middle cap. You know, they'd try to send ships back to contest the cap. But what I would do here with all my ships at the moment in the middle is just push straight down to the next cap. You've only got 3 enemy ships, stay together, go and kill whatever's the aircraft carrier is clearly down here. You're losing this cap, but there's a free cap in front of you. How do you know there's a free cap in front of you? Well, the planes from the aircraft carrier are coming from that southern area, so we know he's down there. The Georgia is up the top, and the destroyer is obviously in the cap here. So I'd just push down, get that other cap. Now, I don't know what the hack was thinking here. He's been spotted by what he's capping. Now, I can only assume that he's trying to get away. And the autopilot on aircraft carriers now is not very good. So Typhoon gets a hit there, gets the kill, and we're up to 2 kills, 160,000 damage. Now 2 kills is pretty good because you've got to think about how if every ship on your team kills one of theirs, then you've all done your job. So we've done our job plus somebody else's. Now when you're rushing an aircraft carrier, be careful. The secondaries are extremely powerful on any aircraft carrier, really. High caliber dev strike. And again, it's that patience that has been rewarded. So the things we've got to watch out for now, we don't really need to worry about the battleships and that. They're all the way down there. But we don't know where that last spot at Kitakazi was. So we've got our cap. We've got 1:30 to go, and we still have 2 caps. And as you can see there, like Typhoon's asking in the chat, how much health does he have? Because the Kitakazi, if a Kitakazi closes with a Hullen, the Hullen will be finished. Yes, they might have rapid firing guns, but the alpha compared to the Japanese gunboats it's just not there, not the same. Japanese gunboats might have 100mm guns, but they've got automatically built in 25mm of penetration, which is insane. And that's because the the 100mm always had to run IFHE, and people didn't like that, and so Wargaming took it off there. But then, you know, you had your British destroyers that came in, and they had to run IFHE. So, you know. Anyway, we have the caps with 25 seconds. We've got 2 caps. The last ship in the game on his side, and 1 versus 4. If it's a win, it'll be a solo warrior. The only thing that will, because we've got the 2 caps here, it should tick over. The only thing that will stop this from ticking over now is if the Kitakaze comes in behind and stops the cap. But just enough time to get the solo warrior, and the solo warrior is always a great thing. I mean, it's a rare achievement to get, but it is such an exhilarating achievement to get. I mean, I can't congratulate him enough for that. That was brilliant gameplay. It was patient gameplay, and it's what you look for when you play the game. So, you know, patience and positioning will help you win. Anyway, guys, I'll post a link in the description below to Typhoon's Twitch. Feel free to drop in on him and say hello and enjoy his commentary and things. And thanks for joining me. And stay safe out there.